Okay, you know, I mean, I was hurt. I can't deny it. I thought John was my friend, you know.
Do you think you were hard done by not being allowed to stay in the group?
Okay, I say yes.
So, do you think you could have done any of the things that Ringo did in subsequent years?
Okay, I say yes, is the answer to that.
Thomas the Tank Engine?
Okay, I say yes.
So would you like to have a little go now?
Okay.
Thomas, the effeminate tank engine, rolled into the station. Okay. Puff, 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 said the fat controller. Sure you go, you fat controller, said Thomas. Okay.
Well, in the early days, the boys were just a duo. And they were called Loose-Nicks and Arsenic and Old Lace. And they wrote songs such as, what's this thing called, love? What's this thing called, love? And also, how can I leave her behind alone? How can I leave her behind alone? But it was always John who came up with the rockers, and Paul who came up with the bowl full of salad. Soul full of ballad.
We asked the Beatles' first manager, Alan Williams, what he really thought of John Lennon in those early days.
Well, to start with, John was always mocking me. That was the thing about him, he always mocked me day in, day out, without
In what way did he mock you?
Well, he used to take the mickey out of my complexion for some reason. For instance, I'd say to them, I've got to go out to the Blue Angel, but I'll be back at 10 o'clock. And he'd say, we'll catch up with you then. You see what he did there? Catch up. 'Cause of the red face. I knew what he was doing. I wasn't stupid.
Tits like coconuts, yeah. Or seed, just throw them out some seed, they like that as well, Sorry.
So, Paul, was John a bit of a rebel when you met him?
Yeah, I mean, he was always, getting into trouble with the police, yeah.
So he was always being picked up by the fuzz, was he?
Yeah. I wondered why he always had tears in his eyes.
So, George Martin, why do you think Pete Best was sacked?
Well, I personally think it was because he formed the Pete Best combo, and I don't think the other boys were too impressed by that.
Didn't he form the Pete Best combo after he was sacked?
I never realised that, but yes, I think you're right. Can he be reinstated? Can he?
Well, somebody said, let's get Starr in the group, and the only Starr I knew was Freddie Starr, so I asked him.
So, Freddie Starr, when...
Excuse me a minute.
So, Freddie, can you remember the moment that John Lennon asked you to be in the group?
Well, to be honest with you, it wasn't John Lennon who asked me. It was a 150-year-old Indian sitting outside a wigwam that asked me, And he said,
"How?" He said, "Man with forked tongue will ask you to be in the greatest group in the world."
And that's what he said,
And what did the man with the forked tongue say, Freddie?
Well, he said, "They won't be in a group or what?" And to be honest with you, on the one hand, I was quite pleased, but on the other hand, I've got 4 fingers and a thumb.
So, Bill, John was a bit of a prankster, wasn't he, in the early days?
Yes, I remember once he gave me a book called The Happy Hooker. And I was halfway through it before I realised it wasn't about fishing.
Did you feel hysterical?
No, I never laid a finger on him ever. It was all rumours,
So, George Martin, what are your early memories of those days?
Well, I mean, in those days there were 5 of the boys. There was John, Paul, George, Pete, and Stuart as well. He was there.
Ah, you mean Stuart Sutcliffe?
No, Stuart Hall, the future presenter of It's a Knockout. And he was a wonderful boy. And yes.
I just hated the way he was laughing all the time, you know, for the least little thing, you know. If one of us fell over, it was a joke, you know. I just knew he had to go, okay? Just look at the Belgians!
So anyway, so then John and I went round to Ringo's house.
So, Ringo, when did you first find out that the boys wanted you in the group?
Well, I was sitting at home watching TV, you know, and the doorbell went. Because they'll nick anything round our way. And it was John and Paul. You know, they were standing there. And I said to them, no autographs. You know, this is a warning, you know. And they said, are you in? And I said, of course I am. I'm answering the door. And they said, no, are you in? I said, yes, I'm here. And they said, no, are you in the group? And I said, I'd love to be. So then Brian Epstein, he said, shave your beard off and comb your hair forward and wear this dress, which I thought, you know, was a bit strange. I mean, Paul and I, you know, we like writing songs, you know, but we're always struggling with the words, you know.
Okay, John, but what about this one? Well, she was just 17, like to keep her bedroom clean.
Oh, no, I don't think so, do you? No.
What about, well, she was just 17, was a fan of Mr. Bean.
Yeah, but he's not going to be big for another 30 years, is he? I just don't think this is going to work, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I just...
That's it,
what?
That's the one.
What?
Well, she was just 17, you know what I mean.
Like? Yeah, I think it's the like that makes it, you know?
I think so too. That's
okay,
the one.
that's the one, right? Okay.
You know, because I was the Beatles road manager, you know, I used to have to drive them around everywhere, you know, and I remember once we were trying to find the Aintree Institute. We couldn't find it, and I said to this guy, I said, where is he, you know, and he said, well, carry on to the lights, and, you know, turn right, carry on to the next lights, turn right, go down to a junction, turn right, traffic lights, turn right, and go down for about 300 yards, and you should be able to find it, you know. And I said to him, I said, hang on a minute, I said, if we do that, you know, we'll end up back here. And he said, yeah, I know, he said, the Aintree Institute is just across the road, you know. So we did have many happy times, I can remember, you know.
Well, when the boys first came to me, I wasn't really looking at them as a group. I mean, I was looking for a Cliff Richard, but I couldn't see one.
So then Brian Epstein rang up Cliff and asked him if he'd like to be in the group.
So, Cliff, how did you feel when you were asked to join the boys?
Well, to be honest with you, I wasn't interested at all.
Well, why was that?
Well, because one had the Shads, of course.
Oh dear. Do you think it was something you'd eaten?
No, the Shads is my backing group, the Shadows. And it was simply fantastic, of course. And then, of course, at that time, I was finding the one thing that I've been searching all my life for, which was simply wonderful, I have to say.
Do you mean God?
No, I mean oneself, because I bought my first full-length mirror, and it was simply fantastic. I always remember I stood there naked in front of it, and I got all aroused. And I looked down and I said, it's okay, it's only me, silly. But it was wonderful, happy times. And I do love me. Obviously they got rid of me. I got a job as a Rolf Harris lookalike, you know.
Can you tell what it is yet? Okay, so we had our little group, you know. So all we needed to do now was conquer England, you know. That was all important, you know. We knew we were going to be big, okay?
Tits like coconuts.